Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be showing you how I make my pork loin in my crock pot. And it's a super easy method because you just have to throw everything in the crock pot. If you haven't used a crock pot before, you really need to get one. You don't need a big one. This is like a medium size, and this is just the inside of my crock pot that's sitting over there. And they sell them even like smaller than this for like $10, $15 at Walmart or Target or even online. So today what I'm going to show you is just a basic recipe that I like to use for my pork loin. And pork loin is not fatty. It's a very lean cut of meat. So you have to flavor it in order to, to really get the best out of the pork loin. And there's a bunch of different kinds of recipes out there for pork loin chops. This one is boneless, and I'm gonna show you what I have here. It's very simple. It's kind of like a twist on how the Hispanics, more like the Cubans, make their pork roast. A lot of them, or most of it, the original recipe is in the oven, but I think in the oven it's great. But if you're looking for practicality and you don't, you have to go to work, you have to leave the house, you have other things to do, then just throw it in the crock pot. The flavor that the crock pot gives the pork is just amazing, or anything else that you throw in there. So I'm just gonna show you, this is a very basic recipe. So here are the ingredients that I have. And let me play with my lighting a little bit. And see if that works better. Sorry about that, you guys. All right, so the star of the show is my boneless pork loin, and this is about 1.5 pounds. Okay, it sounds like like very little, but it's actually gonna give you a good amount of servings. I'm pretty sure 4, 6 servings, or even more actually, probably about 6 servings. And this is going to be again, you can see there is some fat on it. So fat means flavor, so you want to leave that. That's not a lot. Everything else is just lean meat. Okay, so what I have here, I've already chopped up some onions, and I've chopped them up in rough pieces, because you're gonna put it in the crock pot. The crock pot is going to pretty much disintegrate all of the ingredients, so you don't need to chop them up too small. So that's another great advantage. You don't have to take the time of cutting them small. So this is like a whole onion, a whole medium onion. The other thing I have here is garlic. I don't know if you can see it. I've chopped it up a little bit smaller, only because in my family, they don't like to find big chunks of garlic inside their food. So, they'll complain about that. So we have the garlic, and this is about 6 medium cloves of garlic. I like a lot of garlic flavor, so it's gonna be up to you if you use less, but again, this is going to really flavor the pork. I have lemon. I have a lemon here, which looks like it has a lot of good juice, and I also have a lime. So if you don't have lemon, you can use a lime. The traditional, citrus that Cubans use is called, it's a sour orange. It's an orange, and it's sour. It's not sweet like the one you just, eat or make juice with. It's called the sour orange. I honestly have a hard time finding it. Maybe if you go to like if you have a Latin market in your area or an ethnic market, you may be able to find it. I make do with either lemon or the lime, okay? So that's what I'm gonna use today. I'm gonna use the lemon because I already have it cut up. I have some salt. This is, sorry about the lighting again. This is pink Himalayan salt. Any salt that you have will do. Keep in mind, pork really needs a lot of salt. So when you think it's too much, and I may not use all this, by the way, there's about a tablespoon in here. When you think it's too much, you have to add a little bit more so that you can get the flavor. And the other thing I have here are bay leaves. These are dried. These are great for flavoring stews or these kind of cuts of meats. It smells amazing. If you've never used it, try it. This particular one I got it from Thrive Market, and I can tell the difference. I mean, they smell really well. But you can find bay leaves, dried bay leaves at any supermarket, and they sell them in like these little packages like this, and they last forever. So I'm gonna be using that. The other thing that's really important to drive that Spanish flavor into the pork, in my opinion, is cumin. And this is ground cumin. A note on this, they sell cumin like this, is the most, the way that we most commonly use it, but they also sell the cumin seeds. And the cumin seeds, the flavor, I mean, if you have the time and you find the seeds, and you have one of those mortar and pestle where you're gonna put the seeds in a pan, in a nonstick pan, and on low heat you're gonna kind of toast them a little bit. You put them in there and you smash them in your or if you have a grinder that you use for spices, you put it in the grinder, and that is going to be the best cumin. But I don't have that right now, so I'm using just the ground cumin. This is the easiest way to go. Now the other thing in this, I don't think Cubans or Hispanics that I know of, at least Cubans, I never saw my mom do this with the pork, but I find that using a little bit of cinnamon, just really, pork and cinnamon just goes so well together. It just really gives it like a sweet background taste that just kind of, I don't know, I love it. I love cinnamon, I love pork. The combination of cinnamon and pork, try it. You don't have to do a whole lot, because you eventually don't want your pork to taste only like cinnamon, but it does give it a really nice note, in my opinion. And I use it in all of my pork dishes. No matter what I'm doing with the pork, I use the cinnamon. So this is as easy as it's going to be. And I'll show you the next step. We're just gonna put the pork in here. Move this away. All right, so I'm just gonna put my pork loin. Again, this is about 1.5 pounds. Just gonna put it in here, and then I'm gonna add the rest of the ingredients right on top. Just gonna do the garlic first so that I can get rid of it, because it's kind of there. I don't know why I'm using this knife. It just seems like it's around. It's here, so I'm using it. Okay. And another thing, one thing you can do if you want to go a step further, if you have a little bit more time, or you find that, oops, lost some of the onion. You find that you want to even get more depth of flavor. What you can do is you can take that pork loin. You can get a little bit of olive oil, put in your any pan that you have, preferably like a skillet, okay? If you have a cast iron skillet, even better. And what you want to do is you want to sear, what we call sear, the pork loin. You make sure that the oil comes up to like a good temperature, not like it's gonna smoke the house, but just a nice high temperature. And then you are going to use some salt and rub it on the fatty side. You put it fatty side down in that pan, in that hot oil, and you just kind of maybe like a minute or two at high heat, and then you turn it around and you let each side sear, and you're gonna see like it gets like a crust or like a caramelly color. And that's gonna also add flavor. So if you have time for that and you want to go that extra step, you can, okay? So otherwise you can just do this. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna just add my bay leaf, and going back down here. So depending on the size of the bay leaf, this one's really small, so I like to add a few. This one's medium size. I'm gonna add 3 today, okay? That's 3. So 2 small, 1 medium. You can't go wrong with bay leaf. I'm gonna go ahead and add the cumin. I honestly don't measure this because I've done it so many times, but for the purpose of this video, I'm gonna go ahead and measure it. This is a 1/2 teaspoon. I'm just gonna sprinkle it on top. So I'm gonna use another 1/2. This is gonna give it a nice smoky flavor. So do not skip on this, okay? So that was 1 teaspoon of the cumin. Now we're gonna go in with the salt. And again, pork needs a lot of salt. Don't be afraid because you're gonna see what we're gonna do next. This is a teaspoon of pink Himalayan salt, and I'm just kind of you know, sprinkling it in there. I'm gonna use another teaspoon. All right. And we're going to also do the cinnamon. Again, this one's almost finished. I'm just gonna kind of measure a 1/2 teaspoon. So this is gonna be up to you. The first time you do it, you probably wanna use less, just to, you know, to kind of get the feel of how much cinnamon tastes in there. You shouldn't, when you taste the final product, you shouldn't say, oh, there's cinnamon in here. You should just be like, there's a sweet flavor in the background. I wonder what that is. So this is a 1/2 teaspoon of this powdered cinnamon powder. And I'm gonna add maybe a tiny bit more. Okay, so I added about 3/4 teaspoon. And I'm gonna get a spoon to kind of move this around a little bit. Okay. So it's just all in there. I'm just gonna mix it up a little bit. Okay, just to make sure everything, the entire piece of pork is coated with the spices. All right, now the lemon juice. If you happen to not have lemon, for some reason, I always have lemon or lime, you can also use apple cider vinegar. That also will work. So this lemon has a lot of nice flavor. It's gonna add a lot of nice flavor. It's pretty juicy, so I may just use like 1/2 of it. I want to get the seeds in there. My hands are clean, by the way. Wash my hands before I start it. Make sure you guys do that, or you can wear gloves. I do that a lot too. So this is just gonna be your basic flavor, basic pork flavor, and then you can use this to make sandwiches, like pulled pork sandwiches. You can use your favorite barbecue sauce on top. So this is just gonna give you a basic Spanish style pork flavor, okay? Now, I've added all of my ingredients. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'm going to put it inside my crock pot. But before I do that, I have heated up some water, and what you want to do is you want to make sure, and the reason why I heat it up is because that'll speed up the time that it starts cooking in the crock pot, because the crock pot slowly cooks it. So I like to heat up whatever liquid I'm putting in here so it'll start cooking quicker. But you don't have to, you can just add plain water without it being heated up. If you have any type of stock, like if you have preferably chicken stock or even vegetable stock and you want to use it, that's up to you. You can do that too. That's also going to add flavor. Just keep in mind, if you're using whatever stock you're using, look at the amount of salt in it so that you don't over salt the pork. Because remember, we put a good amount of salt in here because I'm using water. So I'm just going to go ahead and put the water in. Just pour it over. It already smells amazing. And what you're looking for, this was about 1 cup and a little bit. What you're looking for is to cover the pork with the water. Not like, you don't want it to float in the water, but you want to make sure that it's covered, okay? That's very important when you're cooking, put your thing in the crock pot. So you want to make sure, say that it covers up your meat, and everything else is just gonna melt in there. You can also just mix it in a little bit. It already smells amazing, I can already tell. So what I like to do is I like to put it in the crock pot. This whole thing goes inside the crock pot, and then you put the lid on it. I like to cook it on high. It just, you know, if I feel like I need to lower it to medium or low, it's gonna depend on what specific type of crock pot you have. Some are gonna be more powerful, they're gonna work faster. This one specific one that I like to start on high. I always start everything on high, and then if I feel like I'm gonna, you know, I don't really need it to cook that quick, I'll lower it, but it doesn't make a difference. If you leave your house for like, I don't know, 6 or 8 hours because you have to go to work and come back, you can probably start it on medium if there's a medium setting or a low setting, and it'll be perfect by the time you get home. So if cooking this on high, it's gonna take about 4 hours for it to be done completely on my crock pot. And that's fine for me. So that's what I'm gonna do, and just leave it. You don't have to do anything with it. I tend to go back and look at it and, you know, it smells good, but you really don't have to touch it after you put it in there, okay? And once it's ready, usually the crock pots, at least mine has a setting where it says to keep warm. I just switch it to keep warm, and that way, you know, it's done, but it's still warm and ready to, you know, to eat whenever your family is ready to have dinner. So I'm gonna go ahead and put it in my, I'm gonna get it started on the crock pot, and I will give you the exact details of how long it took when I come back and show you what it looks like. Thank you. So it's been 4 hours exactly, and I've been kind of shredding a little bit of the pork. As you can see, it just pretty much pulls apart with the fork, and it smells amazing. Oof. Delicious.